From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2475, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. We begin this week with a developing story. A 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck near Mandalay, the second largest city in Myanmar, and rocked the region on Friday, the 28th of March. Hams in Thailand were among those who were called up to help with communications, particularly amid the wreckage in Bangkok.
As the death toll climbed in a number of countries, emergency communication took on paramount importance in the South Asian nations hit by the earthquake. Its strength was felt in Bangkok, Thailand, affecting that city's high-rise buildings. The search for survivors continued beneath the wreckage of one prominent tower that had been toppled while under construction in the city. Jack Ree Hantongkom, Hotel Sierra 1 Foxtrot Victor Lima, Emergency Communications Director of IARU Region 3, told IARU Region 1's Greg Mossop, Golf Zero Delta Uniform Bravo, that members of the Amateur Society of Thailand have been assisting the government with emergency communications in the city and in the surrounding area, utilising VHF. The death toll in the region itself was climbing well into the thousands as search and rescue efforts continued. This is Jason Daniels, VK2LAW.
Its long run of disseminating news to overseas countries under restrictive regimes may not be over after all for the Voice of America. Newsline anchor Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, has more.
VOA has succeeded in its court challenge to the U.S. government's decision to dismantle the International News Service. Workers at the VOA were among a number of international news services with the U.S. Agency for Global Media, who were told they were being taken off the air and put on administrative leave. Responding to a lawsuit by a group of VOA employees, a Manhattan federal judge acted on March 28th to halt the order that originated from the White House. The U.S. District Court judge called the agency's action a classic case of arbitrary policymaking. Radio Free Asia, another international news organization, is also seeking court action to halt its shutdown. Meanwhile, the news service Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, was spared its own announced shutdown after a different U.S. District Court judge ruled that the continued operation of these news services was in the public interest. Funding has since been restored through the end of the current federal fiscal year. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty has been on the air since the beginning of the Cold War.
The Antarctic beacon VP8 ADE has gone silent after 46 years.
There are no more signals from Victor Papa 8 Alpha Delta Echo on Adelaide Island, the ice-covered island off the Antarctic Peninsula's west coast. The last day on the air for the 28 MHz low-power research beacon was February 21. It was put into service in the summer of 1979 at the British Antarctic Survey Base of Rothera. Its tour of duty was originally supposed to have lasted only 3 years as one part of a research program, according to Lawrence Howell, KL7L, who was the base radio operator at the time. The beacon's collection of critical data on global ionospheric propagation at the F2 layer proved so invaluable that it continued operating for another 4 decades. The beacon shared a small wooden hut with a 1950-era aircraft navigation beacon and with research equipment used for ionospheric D-layer scintillation research used by students of ionospheric researcher Dr. Roy Pigott. VP8 ADE was proposed by the Radio Society of Great Britain. It was coordinated with the British Antarctic Survey and with the Falkland Island Radio Regulator. This is Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
A reminder, the nominating period for the 2025 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award is now open. Since 1986, we've been honoring the best of the best young people in amateur radio for their efforts in expanding the state-of-the-art of the amateur radio service and using ham radio to make the world a better place. The nominations close on May 31st, and the presentation will take place Saturday, August 16th at the Huntsville Ham Fest in Huntsville, Alabama. You can find more information and the nomination form on our website, arnewsline.org, under the Awards tab. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Welbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.